A little girl with a stuffed bunny is playing baseball with her father. She tells him that she has been having nightmares since she saw something strange in a mine in their town. Her father tells her that to leave the past behind, she needs to get rid of things from her childhood. As they head to the shed, he lets her decide whether to part with the bunny. The girl decides to give up her stuffed toy. At that moment, the lights start flickering. When she looks for her father, she finds him in the shed, completely paralyzed, with his face deformed. A creature known as the Bagman arrives, taking the girl away. And that's how the story begins. Welcome to Random Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap the movie. We meet the McKee family, Patrick, Karina, and their son Jake. They have moved back to New Jersey, the town where Patrick grew up, to work with his brother Liam, as Patrick has debts to pay and hasn't been able to secure funding for his tree-cutting invention. One night, Patrick goes out to take out the trash when the lights flicker and he hears a noise. He grabs a flashlight to investigate, thinking it's just someone messing around, and gets startled by an animal. The next day, while working with Liam, Patrick tells him he's been having dreams about Jake being kidnapped. In the past, Patrick and Liam had visited a mine, and both started feeling afraid. Patrick went closer to cut a wild plum tree, the softest wood in the world. While cutting it, a man approached and cut Patrick's hair with scissors, a memory that still disturbs him. Meanwhile, Karina is playing with Jake, but she has to work, and Jake keeps playing the flute, which irritates her until she snaps and yells for him to stop. Jake goes to sit quietly on a swing and starts hearing children's voices coming from the forest. When Karina goes to look for Jake, he's gone. Jake walks through the woods, following the doll. His mother frantically searches for him, but finds him after hearing the flute. That night, Patrick returns, and the family spends time together until Jake falls asleep. Karina tells Patrick that Jake went into the woods after she lost sight of him for just a second. The family is overwhelmed with debt, and Patrick is denied an extension to pay, causing him to angrily break his pocket knife and delete his invention prototypes. After throwing away his knife, he notices that Jake is talking to himself. Patrick goes to check on Jake and asks who he's talking to. Jake replies, "Dolly." Patrick opens the window, thinking it's a moth, but something hits the window. As he leaves the room, the power goes out, and he hears noises outside, like someone is lurking around the house. Patrick tells Karina that he thinks he saw someone outside. Then he hears a loud noise from Jake's room, followed by another noise downstairs. Patrick grabs a bat to investigate the source of the noise and finds the door open. He steps outside, challenging whoever is there to come for him. Strange creature noises echo from the woods, reminding Patrick of the sounds he heard as a child in the mine. The next day, the police arrive and tell them that it was likely someone trying to rob them or leave a message. On the roof, they discover wooden carvings like those Patrick made as a child. Turns out these were being thrown through the window. In the trash, Patrick finds one of those carvings, the one he lost years ago as a child. Karina asks Patrick to hide Jake's flute because she doesn't want to hear it anymore, so Patrick leaves him in the shed. But that night, when Jake asks for the flute, Patrick goes to get it, but it's missing. At that moment, the creature enters through the window with the doll. The door slams shut. Patrick calls for Jake, but there's no response. Panicked, he runs upstairs. The creature opens the window, but when Patrick enters, it's gone. The parents ask Jake who he was playing with, and he simply says, "Dolly." Later, Patrick searches for the flute in the trash, but can't find it. Jake's parents are troubled by what happened, and they go to sleep with Jake for the night. Later, Patrick receives an alert that his house's alarm was tampered with. He reactivates it, but notices something in the shed and goes to check. There, he finds a doll resembling him as a child. When he tries to re-enter the house, he finds the door locked. As he tries to get inside, he realizes someone is in the house, playing the flute. Desperate, he breaks the window to get in and rushes his wife to safety while he searches for the creature. The next day, the police officer says they found no fingerprints other than the family's and asks if any items are missing. Patrick mentions the flute he couldn't find and swears he heard someone knocking on the door the other night. Later, Patrick shows Liam the wooden owl he carved as a child, telling him he found it in his house, along with his childhood cap. Liam doesn't pay much attention to it, and, noticing Patrick's growing paranoia, suggests he see a therapist. At the park, Jake gives his mother drawings, saying they are gifts from Dolly. One drawing shows Patrick cutting the branch as a child, and another depicts her with Jake at the park. Frightened, she searches for Jake, who is with a man trying to put him in a sack, but it's just a dream Patrick had. The next day, they visit a therapist who had also treated Patrick as a child. The therapist tells Karina that Patrick once had a phobia. In a flashback, we see Patrick's father taking him to the mine and telling him about the Bagman. Just as Patrick's father was told by his brother and grandfather, Patrick's father tells him that the Bagman roams the world every night, looking for children to put in his sack.
Let me guess. He wants the naughty children that don't listen to their parents.
Wrong, Patty.
This creature seeks out good, bright, and imaginative children. Once they catch his attention, he doesn't rest until they're in his sack. Patrick initially thinks his father is just trying to scare him, but his father swears it's true. The therapist shows Karina the records of Patrick's childhood phobia of the Bagman. This creature, present in many cultural legends, has the power to paralyze and incapacitate adults, leaving children vulnerable. It feeds on the child's fear and anxiety and can lure them into its lair with toys or candy. When the child is most terrified, it takes them away. The therapist believes that Patrick is projecting the supernatural into reality, causing his nightmares and stress. If he doesn't focus on his real problems, things will only worsen. Patrick and Karina leave Jake with his Aunt Anna while they try to relax for a night. Patrick confides in Karina about the mine and how the Bagman cut his hair. According to legend, the Bagman cuts your hair so he can always find you, no matter where you are. One day, Patrick's father comes to his room, saying, "Your mother wants me to tell you that the Bagman doesn't exist, but I can't do that." His father gives him some tips on how to escape the Bagman. The love of children has tremendous power, making even a simple object into a powerful totem. When a child is attached to something they love, it becomes a totem that prevents the Bagman from touching them. Patrick's totem was the knife he accidentally broke. Patrick is worried that the flute has disappeared since it was Jake's totem that protected him from the Bagman. While Anna is taking care of Jake, she hears a strange noise coming from his crib. But when she checks, there's nothing there. Suddenly, the lights go out and someone knocks on the door. Looking through the peephole, Anna sees the Bagman. He opens the door. Anna grabs a knife and takes Jake to the closet. The Bagman appears, attacks Anna, and cuts Jake's hair. On the security cameras, nothing was captured, as the power went out in that specific area. The officer shows the footage to Patrick from the start of the film, which happened 4 years ago. The father said he suffered temporary paralysis. Strange abrasions appeared on his face, and he was helpless as he watched the Bagman take his daughter. The family goes to stay at Liam's house, under police protection. Before going to sleep, Patrick sees the Bagman arrive. The lights go out, and Patrick runs to find his son. He finds Liam's girlfriend and Liam both paralyzed. Realizing the Bagman has Jake, Patrick runs after him, with the police also incapacitated. Patrick chases the Bagman to the mine. Facing his fear, Patrick enters the mine to find his son.
Because that's what heroes do.
He follows Jake's voice, crying for help. Deeper inside, Patrick finds a lair filled with totems from all the children the Bagman has taken. Behind a curtain, Patrick finds a sack, but when he opens it, there's only a doll. The real Jake is safe, The doll was just a trap to lure Patrick to the mine, since he was the one the Bagman was really looking for. The Bagman grabs Patrick and paralyzes him, showing him that he has his and his son's totem. Before the Bagman can put Patrick in the sack, Patrick grabs his totem and stabs the creature in the neck. He tries to escape the mine, but the Bagman appears to stop him. Knowing he's gonna die, Patrick grabs Jake's flute and throws it out of the mine. The creature grabs Patrick and puts him in the sack. Karina arrives with the police, finding Jake's flute. Karina understands that Patrick sacrificed himself for his son. Sometime later, Karina decides to move out of the house, even though she knows the Bagman will come for Jake again, no matter what. Karina gives Jake the flute and tells him the same thing Patrick told her. Keep the object you love most close to your heart, and it will always protect you. And that's how the movie ends.